The night Sophie Blake decided to rob a billionaire, she wore red lipstick and her mother's pearls. Not because she wanted to, because she had exactly 48 hours before her sister died. "You sure about this?" Kat's voice crackled through the earpiece, nervous and young. Too young to understand what Sophie was about to do. Too young to know their sister Maya was lying in a hospital bed with a rare blood disorder and six-figure medical bills they couldn't pay. "I'm sure," Sophie lied, stepping into the elevator of the Chrome Tower, penthouse level, where Dominic Kane lived. Dominic Kane, tech mogul, billionaire, and according to Sophie's 3 months of research, the man who possessed the one thing that could save Maya's life, access to an experimental treatment at his private research facility. The treatment wasn't for sale. Kane didn't take new patients. The waiting list was years long and required connections Sophie didn't have. So she'd found another way in. Seduction, theft, whatever it took. The elevator doors opened onto a world of glass and steel and money. So much money it made Sophie's teeth ache. This was what $20 billion looked like. Cold, untouchable, obscene when children were dying. "Miss Blake," the voice came from behind her and Sophie's heart stopped. She turned and there he was. Dominic Kane wasn't handsome in the conventional sense. His face was too sharp, too intense, like something carved from marble by an angry god. Dark hair, darker eyes, a mouth that had probably never smiled at anything that wasn't a profit margin. But when those eyes landed on her, Sophie felt heat. Dangerous, unwanted heat. "Mr. Kane." She extended her hand, channeling every ounce of confidence she didn't feel. "Thank you for agreeing to meet with me." His handshake was firm, assessing. "You said you had a business proposal. I'm listening." This was the part Sophie had rehearsed 1,000 times. The pitch that would get her close enough to steal his access codes, his research files, anything that would get Maya into that facility. "I run a small pharmaceutical consulting firm," she began, the lies smooth as silk now. "I've been following your research on gene therapy for blood disorders. I believe I can help you streamline your clinical trials and—" "You're lying." His voice was flat, certain. Sophie's blood turned to ice. "Excuse me." "Everything you just said, it's a lie." Dominic moved closer and she could smell his cologne, cedar, and something darker. "You don't run a consulting firm. You're not here about my research. So I'll ask you again, why are you really here?" How did he know? How could he possibly know? "I don't know what you mean," Sophie said, but her voice shook. "Yes, you do." He pulled out his phone, showed her a screen, her real LinkedIn profile, her real name. "Sophie Blake, ICU nurse, St. Mary's Hospital. You've been researching me for 3 months, applying to work at my facility, getting rejected every time, so you created a fake identity and lied your way into my home." Sophie's world collapsed. "I can explain." "Don't bother." But instead of calling security, Dominic did something unexpected. He smiled. "I want to know why. Why go to all this trouble?" She could run, should run. But Maya's face flashed through her mind, pale, weak, dying, and Sophie made a choice. "My sister is dying." The words came out raw, desperate. "She has Fanconi anemia. She needs your treatment. I've begged, pleaded, offered everything I have. Your people won't even let me talk to someone. So yes, I lied. Yes, I was planning to steal your access codes. Because my sister is 19 years old and she's dying and you have the cure and you won't share it." Dominic's expression didn't change. "Fanconi anemia, stage advanced. The doctors give her weeks without intervention. And you thought breaking into my facility would work." "I thought anything was better than watching her die." Sophie's voice broke. "I'm sorry I lied. I'm sorry I wasted your time. But if you have even a shred of humanity, please just look at her case. Please." For a long moment, Dominic just stared at her. Then, "I'll make you a deal." Sophie's breath caught. "What kind of deal?" "I'll get your sister into my facility. Full treatment, no cost." It was too good to be true. What's the catch? His eyes locked on hers. I need a date to a series of events over the next month. Charity galas, investor dinners, a medical conference in Geneva. My business partners expect me to bring someone. You'll play the role of my girlfriend convincingly, and in return, your sister gets the treatment. Why me? Sophie asked. You could have anyone. Because you're desperate enough to say yes, and because he moved closer and she felt the heat of him. You interest me. Was this real? Could it be this simple? But what choice did she have? 1 month, Sophie said. Then Maya gets treated. 1 month, Dominic agreed. Starting now. What Sophie didn't know, couldn't know, was that Dominic Kane had his own secret motive, and it had nothing to do with needing a date. The first event was that weekend, a charity gala for medical research, deeply ironic given the circumstances. Dominic sent a stylist, a dress that cost more than Sophie's car and a driver. When she arrived at his penthouse, he was waiting in a tuxedo that should have been illegal. You clean up well, he said, offering his arm. You too, Sophie took it, trying to ignore the way her pulse jumped. So what do I need to know about playing your girlfriend? The basics. We met 3 months ago through mutual friends. You're fascinated by medical research. We're serious but not discussing marriage yet. He paused. And when we're in public, I'm going to touch you. Nothing inappropriate but enough to sell it. Define nothing inappropriate. His smile was wicked. You'll know it when you feel it. The gala was a blur of champagne and small talk, and Sophie, trying not to panic every time Dominic's hand settled on her lower back. He was good at this. The casual intimacy. The way he looked at her like she was the only person in the room. Too good, like he'd done it before. You're thinking too hard, he murmured in her ear during dinner. Relax. Easy for you to say. You're not the one lying to a room full of millionaires. No, I'm just lying to you. Sophie froze. What? But before he could answer, a woman approached their table. Blonde, beautiful, looking at Dominic like he was a ghost. Dominic, her voice shook. I didn't know you'd be here. Dominic's entire body went rigid. Charlotte. The woman Charlotte glanced at Sophie. And who's this? My girlfriend, Dominic said, his hand tightening on Sophie's. Sophie, this is Charlotte Winters, my ex-fiancée. The world tilted. Ex-fiancée. Dominic had an ex-fiancée, and he looked at her like she'd stabbed him. How lovely, Charlotte said, but her eyes were cold. I'm sure Dominic told you all about us, about what happened. He mentioned you, Sophie lied. Did he mention why we broke up? Charlotte leaned closer, vicious. Or did he leave out the part where he accused my father of corporate espionage and destroyed his company? Sophie looked at Dominic. His face was stone. Your father was stealing my research, Dominic said quietly, selling it to my competitors. You ruined him, Charlotte's voice rose. He lost everything, his company, his reputation, his health. He had a heart attack 6 months later. Did you know that? Did you care? Charlotte, I loved you. Tears streamed down her face. And you chose revenge over me. I hope she knows what she's getting into. Charlotte left, and the entire gala was starring. We're leaving, Dominic said, standing abruptly. In the car, Sophie finally found her voice. What was that about? Exactly what it sounded like. Dominic stared out the window. Her father stole from me. I proved it. He lost everything. Charlotte blamed me. Did you love her? I thought I did. His jaw clenched. Until I had to choose between her and the truth, I chose the truth. Sophie's chest ached. And you regret it. Every day, he finally looked at her. Does that scare you? Before we continue, can I ask you a question? Where in the world are you watching from? Comment below because we'd love to know how far these stories travel, and hit that subscribe button. It should have. Instead, Sophie felt something else. Understanding. I think you did what you had to do. Sometimes love isn't enough. Something shifted in his expression. You're not what I expected. What did you expect? Someone simpler. His hand found hers in the darkness. Someone who wouldn't make me question everything. The next 3 weeks were torture. Beautiful, confusing torture. During the day, Sophie visited Maya, who was responding well to the treatment. Her color was returning. Her energy was coming back. She was going to live. At night, Sophie played Dominic's girlfriend. Dinners in Geneva, galas in New York, long conversations in his penthouse where they talked about everything: her nursing career, his research, their families, their fears. And the touching, God, the touching. It started innocent, his hand on her back, her fingers laced through his during photos. But then it evolved, his thumb stroking her wrist during dinner, her head on his shoulder during a flight, the way he'd tuck her hair behind her ear when he thought she wasn't paying attention. It felt real, too real. "You're falling for him," Kat said during one of Sophie's visits to the hospital. "I can see it on your face." "I'm not," Sophie protested. "It's just an act." "Is it?" Maya, looking healthier than she had in months, grinned. "Because last time you mentioned him, you blushed." "I did not." "You did," both sisters chorused. Sophie buried her face in her hands. "It doesn't matter. The month is almost up. Maya's responding to treatment. This ends in 3 days." "Do you want it to end?" Maya asked softly. Sophie didn't answer, couldn't answer, because the truth was terrifying. She'd fallen in love with Dominic Kane, completely, irrevocably, and she had no idea if any of it was real for him. The final event was an investor dinner at Dominic's penthouse. Small, intimate, crucial. After tonight, their deal would be complete. Sophie wore the black dress Dominic had chosen, simple, elegant, devastating. When she arrived, he stared at her like he was memorizing every detail. "Last night," she said, trying to keep her voice light. "Last night," he echoed, but he didn't sound happy about it. The dinner went perfectly. Sophie charmed investors, discussed medical innovations she'd researched, played the role flawlessly. And through it all, Dominic's eyes never left her. When the last guest left, they stood alone in his living room. The silence was deafening. "You were perfect tonight," Dominic said finally. "Thank you. I learned from the best liar I know." He flinched. "Sophie." "It's fine." She was already gathering her things. "The month's over. Maya's treatment is working. We both got what we wanted." "Did we?" He crossed to her, grabbed her hand. "Did you get what you wanted?" "Yes." The lie tasted like ash. "My sister's alive, that's all that matters." "What if I told you I want to renegotiate?" Her heart stopped. "What?" "The deal, I want to extend it." "Why?" Sophie pulled away. "You don't need a fake girlfriend anymore." "What if I don't want a fake girlfriend?" His voice was rough, desperate. "What if I want the real thing?" Sophie's world spun. "You don't mean that." "Don't I?" He moved closer. "For 3 weeks I've watched you fight for your sister. I've seen you lie and scheme and sacrifice everything for someone you love. I've talked to you about things I've never told anyone. I've laughed more in this month than I have in 5 years. And I've fallen." "Don't." Sophie held up a hand, tears threatening. "Don't say it, because I can't trust it. How do I know this isn't just another deal, another transaction?" "Because I'm terrified." Dominic's hands framed her face. "I'm absolutely terrified of how much I need you. Charlotte accused me of choosing revenge over love, and she was right. I did. Because love was a weakness I couldn't afford. But then you showed up in your fake identity and your desperate lies, and you made me feel again." "Dominic." "I love you," he said. "I love your courage and your loyalty and the way you steal the last croissant at breakfast. I love that you argue with me about research protocols and cry during medical documentaries. I love you, Sophie Blake, and I have no idea if that's enough." Sophie was crying now, full tears streaming down her face. "You're an idiot." "I know. I came here to use you, to steal from you. I'm a terrible person." You're the best person I know." His thumbs wiped away her tears. "And I don't care why you came. I only care that you stay. What if this is just gratitude or proximity? What if?" He kissed her. Finally, desperately kissed her, and Sophie felt everything she'd been holding back pour out. All the longing, all the fear, all the love she'd been trying to deny. When they broke apart, she whispered, "I love you too. I've loved you since Geneva when you stayed up all night helping me research Maya's condition. I've loved you since you admitted you still think about Charlotte. I've loved you even though I was terrified you were just using me." "Never," his forehead pressed to hers. "You're the first real thing I've had in years." "There's something you should know," Sophie said, pulling back slightly. "I didn't tell you the whole truth either." His body tensed. "What do you mean?" "When I researched you, I found articles about Charlotte's father, about what he did to you." She took a shaky breath. "And I found records showing you offered to settle, to help him restructure his company. He refused. He chose pride over help, and it killed him." Dominic went very still. "How did you?" "I'm a nurse. I'm good at research." She met his eyes. "You've been carrying guilt over something that wasn't your fault. Charlotte's father made his choices, just like I made mine, just like you made yours. Why are you telling me this?" "Because I need you to know. I see you. All of you. The ruthless businessman and the man who created a medical facility to save lives because you couldn't save your mother. The person who walls himself off and the one who stayed with Maya during her first treatment because he knew I was scared. I did that because I care about you." "I know," Sophie smiled through her tears. "That's why I'm saying yes." "Yes to what?" "To staying, to trying, to whatever this is." She kissed him softly. "To being your real girlfriend." Dominic pulled her close, buried his face in her hair. "I don't deserve you." "Too bad, you're stuck with me now." They stood like that for a long time, holding each other in the quiet of his penthouse. Two people who'd come together through deception and desperation and found something neither of them expected. Something real. 6 months later, Maya was in remission. Sophie had moved into Dominic's penthouse, officially, not as a fake girlfriend but as the woman he loved. She also started working part-time at his research facility, helping coordinate patient care. "It's strange," she said one morning, curled up next to him in bed. "I came here to steal something from you, ended up stealing your heart instead." Dominic laughed, the sound rich and warm. "Pretty sure it was the other way around." "Oh," she propped herself up on one elbow, "you stole my heart. From the moment you walked into my penthouse in that terrible fake identity." His hand traced her spine. "I knew you were lying. I knew you were there for the wrong reasons. But when you told me about Maya, when I saw that fierce love in your eyes, I was gone. You're such a romantic." "Only with you." He pulled her down for a kiss. "Only ever with you." Sophie's phone buzzed. A text from Maya. "Kat and I are coming over for breakfast. Hope you're decent, probably not though." "Your sisters are on their way," Sophie said, laughing. "Of course they are." But Dominic was smiling. "I'll make pancakes." "You'll burn pancakes. And you'll eat them anyway because you love me." "Unfortunately true." She kissed him again. "I do love you, even when your pancakes are hockey pucks." As Dominic headed to the kitchen, as Sophie heard her sister's laughter in the hallway, she thought about that night 6 months ago, when she'd put on red lipstick and her mother's pearls and decided to rob a billionaire. She'd come to steal something, medical access, a chance at saving her sister, a desperate shot at survival. Instead, she'd found love. Real, complicated, messy, beautiful love. And in the end, they'd both stolen something from each other. Their lonely, guarded hearts. And given them back fuller, healed, and completely transformed. "Sophie," Dominic called from the kitchen. "I need your help. The pancakes are on fire." "Possibly." She laughed and went to save him, because that's what love was, saving each other, again and again and again. and choosing every single day to stay. Thank you so much for watching till the end. I truly appreciate you for spending your time here. It means a lot more than you know. If you enjoyed this story, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment. Your support helps the channel grow and brings more stories like this your way. Thank you for being here. More amazing stories are coming, don't miss them.